historic GT3.
Hello everybody, welcome along to Le Mans Classic Legend 2026. John Hindhaugh, Bruce Jones, Andrew Marriott in the Global Broadcast Centre. Beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon as we're coming to the end of our live broadcast. We've been entertained royally by four new grids of cars that we've never seen at a Le Mans Classic before, plus a couple of brilliantly exciting invitational classes. We had the HSR NASCARs throughout the weekend, presented by Goodyear, and now we end our GT and endurance racing odyssey here at the Le Mans Classic with the GT3 revival. Second of two races. We started here on Saturday morning. The cars will line up for their 50-minute race the way they finished yesterday. There's a number of different classes, as in many things GT3. The classes reflect not necessarily the cars, but the drivers. There's a couple of differentiations in the ages of the cars, but it's generally speaking AMs and Pro-Ams in the two different ages of the cars. From the start of GT3 in the mid-2000s, depending if you get your Evos right, you could have something as new as only 10 years ago, 2016, 2013, and depending on where your Evo takes you to. As you might imagine, this has been a very popular grid that we've had. We have got 34 cars due to come out and join us. Bruce Jones, this was an absolute barnstormer for the opening lap. So we do have a mandatory pit stop somewhere in the middle. We're on the formation lap now. Yesterday morning seems a very long time away, but lives long in my memory, those opening laps.
Well, it was a cracking race. It was every much as this is an accolade, by the way, every much as good as contemporary GT3 racing, because it's really, really close. But the beauty of GT3 racing is when you look at the lead group, I think at the end of the race, we had 8 different manufacturers in the top 9 positions, which is the essence of what GT3 racing is all about. A lot of manufacturers were almost dragged kicking and screaming into it. That's Porsche, by the way. And but then they grew to love it. But it's a formula that this is a category that sort of, you get the cycle of when somebody's got the next generation of car, they may take a year to get good, then they will be de facto the cars at the front. But just think, when you have a group of cars, if you put a road-going Ferrari, let's go into period, sort of a 458 out on the street, and you put a Bentley Continental, they're just slightly after this period, side by side, you wouldn't think they could go racing again. However, with the balance of performance, effectively saying each manufacturer, this is the time your car should be adjusted to achieve. They will achieve their performance around a lap in different ways. Of course, what we saw yesterday, the Mercedes SLS GT3, the car that's running second in this group, Warwick's tyres in silver, that was mighty on the straights, but you got to the Ferrari it's racing against, and that was much quicker around the corners. But the whole point of this, look, as the cars come down, BMW, Ferrari, Ford with the Maytag, Porsche, Lamborghini coming up in the background. It was the mix of cars, the mix of nationalities. It's a global formula, and it's only right it's become a GT3 category that could be celebrated in historic circles, and the take-up has been enormous. And if you had one of these cars tucked away in your garage a couple of years ago, you'd be an awful lot wealthier now if you chose to sell it. Prices doubled overnight.
Yes, indeed. Down on pole position yesterday was Jerome Polican, team owner and long-time Le Mans competitor, but his owner was not quite as quick as him, so he will start 5th. So we've got Jonathan Mitchell, British drivers, won some of these revival these revival races in the GT3 series in the past in Britain with the Aston Martin that's come from America, the ex-Racers Group car. It was driven by John Davidson in period, the Australian. And we got Ben Rickey, who was one of the surprises yesterday, went very quick in his Ferrari. It should be a cracking race. There's lots of action as they're now heading towards the Porsche curves and getting ready for the start of this one. And quite a few other British drivers also in the race.
Well, one of the most famous cars is the one that's going to be starting fourth. It's the Black Bull liveried Curiacos BMW Z4 that won the British title back in period. Peter Mulsdale will be starting that. And just to reiterate what you're saying about Jerome Policon, he took pole. He will be the start driver in the car that's starting fifth on the grid. Then he'll hand over to Jean-Luc Beaubely. Yesterday it was the other way around, but just look out for that one coming forward. It's the second of the red Ferraris, but the first one is Benjamin Ricci, who basically all of his racing career has been in GT3s, literally from the moment he started. And so he's very, very conversant. But if the racing is even half as good as it was in the first half of yesterday's race, we're in for a real, real treat.
Race control asking the cars to form up in their 2x2 formations. It's a rolling start, of course. Amazing to think how far this category has come and how it has developed, and it with GT4 coming along behind it, how we now have, some people might say, too much GT3 racing around the world. If you're somebody like a factory driver, like
if you're a Mauro Engel,
I was
for
just
example,
about to say
Mercedes
Engel.
man through and through, he will probably be on the world standard in terms of gathering air miles.
Nearly 40 race weekends he did last season. Race weekends alone, which is incredible.
John, what we haven't said is the founder of it is taking part in this race.
Stefan Rattel.
Yep, I'm not sure where he started. Yeah, he's starting 18th.
Venturi racer. Is he the Venturi racer who's done the best for himself?
Yes, I think by some considerable margin. And he still tends, during the course of the season, to compete in the GT2 European Series that supports some of the GT World Challenge events. But busy man, always another, no, not one other idea in his head. You sit him down, he's always got about 5 ideas bubbling about what to do next, where to go next, how to do it. But right now, he'll be looking at this from his position 18th on the grid and doing what he loves most of all, racing.
18th overall, but second in his class in his Aston Martin DBRS 9.
So from Silverstone all those years ago when I was standing... Did you do the comms for Sil?
No, not me.
I was standing doing commentary for Nissan and Nismo at the original race, which didn't have quite as many cars in, but it was already a success even before the original green lights went on. And now we've got 4 or 5 cars across the track as we relive the early days of GT3, the first 10 years or so of GT3 represented on the track at Le Mans, a race that they almost never got to. Now, of course, part of the World Endurance Championship as well, the de facto top GT category globally, and providing a ladder and an opportunity for drivers all around the world to gauge their performances. Many different tyre manufacturers, many different series, but one set of regulations. Nice, clean start, Bruce.
Yesterday we had a spinner in about 12th position. Pretty much everyone avoided him. Today, absolutely clear. Now, Jonathan Mitchell in that pale blue Aston Martin is right on the tail of the SLS Mercedes of Heiko Neumann, and yesterday's race winner Ben Ritchie back into 3rd place, but looks so in the drag. Expect to move into the second chicane from Jonathan Mitchell. When we see the cars from the other angle, I expect that Aston Martin at least to be making a bid.
Peter Mulsdale was going for the position on Eric de Bard as well. He's in the BMW Z4. Peter is in the Barwell Motorsport BMW M4. The problem at the Daytona chicane.
Well, that was Eric de Bard getting a little bit ambitious, so he's probably gained a position and immediately lost it again. But in front, it's still Heiko Neumann in that silver Mercedes. Can't quite see Jonathan Mitchell's Aston Martin, probably because it's right in behind. I can see Ben Ritchie in what I think is 3rd place. Yes, the Aston Martin, you can just see its flank. Here comes the move. Here comes the move. Surely not yet. And in the background, the BMW Peter Mulsdale covering off Jerome Policon. Expect Jerome in that red Ferrari to make a move over, under, round the outside. Could be any of those.
Fantastic racing early on. And if you're wondering why the car in 4th position, we're calling it the Ford GT Maytech, that was because Ford, in common with a few manufacturers, did jump on board with this championship and this set of regulations. Corvette were the same. We had Callaway building their cars for them, and they came later on, as did Corvette eventually. But the major manufacturers, I suppose you'd say Audi, BMW, the 3 German manufacturers, and an AMG, they were on board with it straight away.
They were, and
Audi have to have been the ones who've sold the most cars.
Oh yeah, I think they've built 1,000 GT3 cars, and that's just a staggering number. They're scattered all around the world. But I tell you what, oh no, maybe it was 1,000 GT3 cars in all have been built. But what we're seeing again is what we saw yesterday. Heiko Neumann in that Mercedes, so much punch out of the chicanes. Jonathan Mitchell in the Aston Martin will be faster around the sweeping corners, but primacy in the hands. Of course, when you've got the Mulsanne straight, if you've got Grunt, you could pull away. Even if Jonathan Mitchell makes a better exit from those chicanes, he hasn't been able to do anything. Into Arnage we go. He'll be plotting his move. Don't forget, a lot of these racers race other things. He's regularly racing and winning in a Jaguar E-Type. This could not be more different.
Imagine if I could have persuaded Audi in 2005, just before this all kicked off, that I supplied them their door mirrors. Honestly,
that's enough.
Absolutely fantastic.
Talk to people in historic racing. Often they can afford to do it because they make something small but sell in enormous numbers.
Exactly. There you go. Mercedes, Aston, Ferrari, Ford, Ferrari, BMW, Lamborghini, Porsche in the top 8, 7 different manufacturers, and this has been one of the great selling points, the great USP of GT3 racing is that cars with different character, different philosophy, different sizes, different shapes have all been able to race against each other, and that, whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, viewer and listener, is down to BOP. You might hate it, but without it, we would not have had the variety that we have right now. And it's a simple fact that it has worked, it continues to work, and without it, we would not have the manufacturers. A little bit of a mistake by the Ford, spun up the Pirelli tyres.
Yeah, Eric Debard, and then waiting to pounce. Jerome Policorn, that red Ferrari, he's doing exactly what he expected to do. Peter Molsell hanging in behind. I've never been someone who disliked BOP. I would if you had it for, say, Formula One. I don't for this, because it's made the fields what they are. It's given the variety that the fans want when they're in the grandstands. Otherwise, you tend to have, if there was no BOP, you'd have, oh dear, well, that's one Audi fewer in the race, unfortunately.
Has it lost a door mirror? No.
Daniel Debrouwer, Philippe Gash. Philippe went very well in that yesterday, but unfortunately today, sitting sideways, going nowhere. That's not where they want to be.
But the Ford Maytech, of course, did compete in the 2010 Le Mans race, the Swiss-based team that built the car.
As a GT1 car, yeah.
Yes, it did.
With the Robinson family outing. Husband and wife team. Lovely set of people. Now, what happened to the Audi? Oh, there was a Ferrari in close proximity, but I don't think you can convict from that evidence.
Yeah, that was the DHL livery Ferrari that's looking very crisp. Oh dear, another Audi facing the wrong direction at a second corner. That's up under the Goodyear Bridge, having not quite made it there. So,
and there's something on the track beyond there as well, because the yellow and red flag, often called the fluid flag, not quite true. It means there's something on the track surface that shouldn't be there. Could be debris, could be fluids, of course.
I think that might be the Jean-Louis Rion car, because we've got two Audis listed in the last couple of positions. The Lamborghini Gallardo of Keith Friese.
In that first zone with the Ferrari in the gravel, it is a 4-minute lap, so we might be able to see the snatch tractor come out and get rid of those cars. Might even be able to be done from behind the barrier for the one that's just through the Dunlop chicane and under the Goodyear Bridge. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Mercedes, Aston, Ferrari, Ford, BMW, then the Lamborghini Gallardo, and then a second of the Aston Martins, Barwell and Britek. Now that's Dr. Afshin Fatemi in the Aston Martin, chasing the Lamborghini. We have a bollard.
Bollard, as they
Bollard,
say.
warning.
So who was the one that struck the bollard? Well, they're there for a reason, and not necessarily to be skittled over. Again, seeing people. That's the second time. Well, there we are. 5.56. That's classic and speed entry. No, I beg your pardon. It's
Pierre Alain France.
It's the one before Pierre Alain France. They had a problematic race yesterday. Quick in between the bad bits, but unfortunately, it was a bad bit that didn't really help them.
That's a father and son outfit, that. And go very well in French GT and similar races. Just going back to that GT1 Ford, the lineup in 2010 for Le Mans was Natasha Gachang, Cindy Alleman and Raha Frey, who of course is still racing to this day.
Yeah.
And the following year, Romain Grosjean drove the car.
Of course he did. That's right. He sort of stepped back down from Formula One.
Yes.
Just for those of you who want to join some dots, Natasha Gachang is cousin of Sebastian Buemi.
Yes.
And another little story, there is a sports car and a single-seater from Switzerland called the Chego, which was Claude Georges Gashnang. What do the A's stand for? It's Aigle is the town in Switzerland where those cars came from.
Big Swiss racing families.
And who's driving the Maytech with Eric Debar? Is he on his own?
Or is he on his own?
Car number 20, it is driven with Philippe Gioc.
And Rahel Frey, who you've just mentioned.
Here comes the move.
Wait, I'll go for that for a moment. Down into the Ford chicane.
Going to work.
We've got Aston Martin, once a partner for... Oh, hang on.
Oh,
no.
No, it's the yellow flag. Slow zone.
Give it back. Slow zone. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I wonder why he suddenly managed to gain half a car length in the blink of an eye. That's why, and in fact, that's cost him. Look at the gap between him and the race-leading car. Double waved yellows on the start-finish line and tucked in behind Benjamin Ricci as well.
Which will give me a chance to tell the Rahel Frey story. Rahel Frey, now GT Performance Director for WRT. And in her first race with that job in the World's Endurance Championship, which would have been at Imola, the BMW M4 GT3 took the win.
She later became an Audi factory driver and did the DTM for a while.
Drastically unappreciated as a driver, Rahel. Lovely person. Had a chat with her walking into Imola at the start of the season. And she moves quick even when she's just on her feet, never mind when she's in a car. Excellent driver. Really tidy, precise driver, aggressive when she needs to be, very sympathetic. Talk to the engineers, very sympathetic mechanically to the cars, which doesn't always happen nowadays. We tend to think the car's been ultra reliable in any situation.
But also her role with Iron Dame, she was very much the sensible hand that sort of smoothed the curves, if you will, took the sharp edges off and really made that combination work well.
I said to her, so you're throwing yourself into this now, no more driving? And she went, no, I've got to concentrate on this. I went, well, when I win Euro Millions, who am I going to get to drive the GT3 with me? You were on my list. She went,
No, she went, with you?
I might come back for that. Let's go down to the pit lane. Bruno van der Stick is the voice of Le Mans here on the PA system, and he'll be bringing us various reports from the pit lane. Let's head to him now. Well, just wait for a moment for Bruno to jump in.
We've all done it.
Yeah,
He switched the mic on.
We'll get there in a moment's time. Gives us the opportunity to continue to watch the racing, and that Maytech Ford then in a 5th position, but leading the AM1 category. The good news is that Bruno is now waiting for us.
Le cas. Welcome in the pit lane with the famous Michel Nouri, and Anne-Sophie Nouri is driving the car at the moment. Elle est pas mal d'ailleurs, Anne-Sophie, parce que la fille de Michel était aux alentours de la 14e position. Michel, vous n'allez pas piloter aujourd'hui, mais vous êtes un papa très fier, amoureux du Mans aussi.
Ben écoutez, le rêve de Anne-Sophie se réalise. Je ne roule pas parce que je suis quand même un peu fatigué. Hier, j'ai eu un incident mécanique. Donc, je ne vais pas dire que je n'ai pas trop reconnu, mais c'est normal. Mais à la rigueur, là, elle est en train de réaliser son rêve parce qu'elle est en train de doubler à la régulière et je la vois faire des chronos et remonter. Et je lui ai donné le chrono. Alors, je lui ai dit, il faut que tu fasses au moins 4,18, 4,15, mais elle va y arriver.
Est-ce qu'un jour, votre fille prendra le départ des 24 heures du Mans?
Ah, je pense, oui, j'espère. Puis alors après, il y a le petit-fils qui est plus loin, mais j'espère qu'on verra l'année prochaine. Tant que je suis aussi vaillant, je ferai tout pour qu'on réalise les rêves que moi j'ai eus de faire les 24 heures.
Absolument. Anne-Sophie Nouri is having a dream comes true today on the Le Mans racetrack. She's driving perfectly. I give her some instruction about the attitude and, of course, the pace on the track. And I'm sure that everything is going to be very well on this Le Mans circuit. And to the question, do you believe that one day Anne-Sophie will start the Le Mans race? You said, yes, that's one of my dream. And I think it will be possible. But the son of Anne Nouri would like to race Le Mans too. So it's a question of family affair and love story about the Nouri family and of course the Le Mans story.
3 generations then already interested in motor racing. And Sophie Norrie in behind the wheel of the number 27. Norrie Competition 997 GT3R Porsche, sitting second in Pro-Am 2 at the moment. Problem for an Aston Martin. It's the
XR Motorsport car. I think that's the
right,
one Janos Santa is driving, but not going at the pace it was planned to do.
Is it?
No, maybe it's not actually. This is metallic green as well, Janos' car, but I'm trying to work out who else it might be. But anyhow, oh no, I tell you what, it's Pascaluto Franz Wunderlich, car number 62 that's now going slowly.
There you go.
That's a good thing. So many cars in the field, it takes a while to scroll up and down your charts to find them all. What we can tell you for sure is that Heiko Neumann is still leading from Jonathan Mitchell. The Mercedes SLS has got 3 seconds clear. Further back down the order, well, it's as it was in period. Porsche versus BMW, and that BMW is going increasingly well.
BMW going through in the...
That's Marcus von Euenhausen. And that's, in fact, the scrap that Michel Nuri is in. You've got Marcus and Nuri, they've been swapping positions. And Sophie is in the orange, silver and black striped car in the background of the shot. But right now, that BMW settling down. Marcus von Neuenhausen just moved into 15th place.
It's the Porsche Motorsport anniversary edition. They did a whole set of clothing like that as well. Just behind them.
Well, just seeing a sight of Stefan Rattel. He's in the Lukoil Spain sponsored Aston Martin just out of the background of the shot. There is the middle shot now. It's red, white and blue. And he's having a good old scrap, which he'll understand. He'll be appraising, going, has that car in front of me got the right balance of performance?
Do you think? Yeah, that is Christian Philippon for Espace Racing in the SLS. It's the number 50 car. They're not in the same class. Christian's in AM2, Stefan Rattel is in AM1, which he now leads from the car that's right behind him, the Schumacher IMSA Porsche of Michael Etquati, who is just a little bit further back in the Porsche.
Yeah, AM1 is for the older cars. I mean, we're talking about the space of about a year. That's 2011. Almost every other car in the field is 2012 or 2013, or even some from 2014. So yeah, he's got a built-in excuse there, a built-in reason not to be at the very front of the field, but going very nicely. And I just have to keep saying it again and again. The evolution, the way that these cars and the teams running them understood their tyres better through the course of the years, it really moved forward. But it took a while for Evo models to come in, and some categories, later have had Evo 2 models. They've kept on evolving their car for GT3.
Why would you bother evolving a car and I'm asking this because this is what people ask. So why would you bother evolving a car and spending money for an upgrade kit on a car when it's a BOP championship, because all cars should be BOP?
Right.
And there is an answer to that.
There is an answer for that.
And it's a sensible question, in fairness.
No, in all honesty, of course it is. But, I mean, the natural thing is people want to go faster. But it's about making the cars more drivable, which absolutely was the key. When Mercedes moved from the SLS, one of which is leading the race, the team motorpark car for Heiko Neumann, to the model that followed, the regular AMG car, they wanted it more drivable for the gentleman driver, the owner driver, because we all know you can put a pro in and they can hang it out anywhere and really wring its neck. But if you had a car that slightly scared the owner driver and didn't enable them to get near the pace, they wouldn't want to do it. And the success of this formula has been getting people to come and play in these cars and spread the net as wide as you possibly can.
Interestingly, the pole for GT3 this year at Le Mans was 352.
Yep.
There's evolution for you. These guys are doing 406. Well, they were pro drivers, so take 2 or 3 seconds off, I suppose, for the pro driver. Nevertheless, they've made a lot of progress on speed.
And the interesting thing about the evolutions in GT3 going through to make the cars more easier to drive consistently, and also to set the cars up, have a bigger setup window, is that thinking has transferred over to pretty much every other endurance racing category that have evolutions. Everybody starts going, oh, we want to make it go faster. Oh, we want to make it go faster. And then they find out that they get turned back down, the balance of performance. You get another 20 kilos here. You get a ride height adjustment. And then the car's not in its most efficient area. So even in Le Mans Hypercar now, the evolutions that are coming along are to open up the setup window. What has been done for BMW, for Cadillac, in their prototype categories is all about, they don't have gentleman drivers to think about, but they have got a setup window that they want to get their optimum performance out, whether they're racing at Spa, the Nürburgring, Spa, Le Mans, Sebring, Watkins Glen, distinctively different circuits in distinctively different series. And in GT3, the added complication you've got as a manufacturer is that you'll be running Pirelli tyres here, you'll be running Michelin tyres in IMSA, Hankook tyres in DTM, and that you could be running all round the world on different rubber. And it does make a difference to how you work those tyres. So you want to build up in as much adjustability as you can. Two German marks going head-to-head here.
Incredible,
novel.
Yeah, incredible livery on that Philipsen car.
Yeah.
Christian Philipsen.
Philip
You get a good look at it. It's got a complete mural on the side of it.
Yeah,
that's something that's changed in my time in racing. They used to just spray racing cars. Now you've got all these wraps.
Put stickers on.
Yeah, put an odd sticker on, yeah.
Yeah.
Although the livery of this XTRG car is very conventional, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very crisp. It's really rather lovely. You don't get many cars with that middle shade of blue. It's not making it fast, but it is making it faster than the car in front, the livery is. And of course, that's Jonathan Mitchell doing the job for the Scott Sport team. He's close to just under a second. Oh dear, we got one of the early numbered Audis looping around, and that won't be the first, won't be the last.
That's
in fact, it wasn't the first.
The Spark
Motorsport car. Yeah.
All on his own. And there we are, facing the wrong way. If you've ever seen Spark models, you don't want to see them. They're too good. You just have to keep buying them.
Yes,
dangerous.
Take them away from it. They've just had a significant price increase, actually. A lot of people were jumping in at Le Mans at the 24 hours and grabbing them before they went up in price. I remember that car racing in period. I've read somewhere the other day when you were talking there, Andrew, about RAP, of a team, and of all the press releases I see, I now can't remember what series it was, but the whole livery, including all of the mandatory stickers for the series, was printed onto the wrap, and then it was wrapped, so there was absolutely no edges whatsoever.
But you see that in race driver suits these days. Similar thing, where the badge they're not sewn on badges, not like James Hunt's famous badge.
Yeah.
He bought from Woolworths. He really did.
Right, Jonathan Mitchell is really starting to move the Aston Martin around. Looking at going out of Arnage, he's getting very twitchy in his chase of Heiko Neumann, but he knows every time he gets to a straight line, there's a marginal advantage for that Mercedes SLS. And he's got to do all his work in the corners, like the Porsche curve somewhere. There's always fearsome. This is the point on the track where he's trying to close in. He'll get towards the Ford chicane. He'll be right on the tail. Remember, last time around, he came up to have a look down the inside, went up and suddenly saw the double wave yellows, had to give the place back and drop back into second place. But again, he closes up at this point.
I think he is slightly better. That car's slightly better on the braking performance of the car, whether that's because he's looking after his front tyres, whether it's just the general character of the car. He put the fastest lap of the race in last time around with a 4:01.2. He's just backed that up with a 4:01.3 against a 4:02.5 from Heiko Neumann in the Motor Park car ahead of him. I not to labour this point about BOP, but I think it's an important thing to talk about when we're talking about GT3, which GT3 has made BOP acceptable, because people, I think, can see why it works and how it works. The idea is not to make all cars perform exactly the same way at exactly the same point on every corner. There will still be inherent advantages of some cars over the other, and of some drivers over the other. You do not want to BOP good teams and good drivers, and Mitchell's got the better run there out of Tertre Rouge in the gap in the air that's been made by Neumann, as that is the car that we were looking at earlier on.
It's the Nuri car. I think it's gone for a little rotation. Yeah, that's suddenly fallen, considerably down the order for Anne-Sophie Nuri. So disappointment for her father.
Yeah.
That was out of AB2, and the Aston hadn't quite got enough run to get out of the slipstream. Pit stop starting, bottom end of the top 10. The Barwell BMW, Peter Mosdale. has come in, Dr. Afshin Fatemi for Britek and the Aston Martin V12 Vantage. Now, these are standard car stops, side by side for the lead, but again, the Mercedes-Benz, the AMG, manages just to pull away, slightly, maybe slightly more top-end speed. The VMAX just seems to be a little bit quicker, but the real advantage is out of the corners, the torque. Then the Aston gets in to the slipstream, pulls it back, but there seems to be just enough, Bruce, grunt from that big Mercedes V12 to pull it away at the crucial points of the track.
Yeah, quite frankly, I think Jonathan Mitchell has emptied his box of tricks, and now he's just waiting to see when they get onto the tail of traffic, but it would be a while yet, and then he might be able to pass. But hold on, there's a pit stop to come as well.
I was going to say, is it the pit stop? So is it now, is he getting in his ear now, you do what he doesn't? So is Jonathan driving by himself?
Yes, he is.
Right, so he knows the car. So the opportunity is, if that car goes in, has he got enough time to do one more lap? Yes, he has. Then he's got to really make the best of where that car's advantage and pull 2 or 3 seconds. If he can do that, there's an opportunity to switch in the pit. If the car doesn't come in front of him, does he pit instead? And that is the dilemma that you have right now.
Well, he's got a nearly 8-second advantage over the car in third place. So.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, he's got to get the pit stop absolutely right. The vector is 1 minute 30. He's got to get as close as that till he can. Now, the team controls the minute that he stopped because they can do that on the stopwatch. But Jonathan Mitchell has got to come in and go out in that 30 seconds, and he's got to get that spot on. Go out too soon, by maybe even a second, you get a penalty.
Correct.
Go out too slowly, and you've dropped 5 seconds, and you've dropped right back. Or you could jump him. With a spot on pit stop on the vector, he could jump the Mercedes. And that's Scott Sport team, they're very experienced.
Better a second long than half a second short.
Yep.
You never want to cut it too fine when there's a win on the line. 25.5 minutes still to go. The leading cars. And he's done exactly what we were seeing. He waited to see if the AMG was going to go in there, the SLS, and waited till very, very late to cut across the pit lane, but he was all right. Now, what can Heiko Neumann do with nobody behind him? Now, he's got to put in the lap of his life here down in the pit lane and try and get some kind of gap over this blue car, number 007, that's coming in for its pit stop now. Got to hit his marks. There's no tyres to do. There's no fuel to go in. Start the stopwatch. Take the tyre pressures. Maybe make a little bit of an adjustment. It's 49 Celsius on the track at the moment, 30 in the air. Oh, no, there is going to be there's a driver change. Oh, do you have to get out and get back in? Okay, that's fine. That's my problem. Let's go down and speak to Stefan Rattel.
Sir Stefan Rattel, if I can say, the father of the GT3. You've just finished your stint with the number 6 Aston Martin. Very simply, how was it?
Fabulous. You know, I haven't been here. I've been only racing on the big circuit twice in my life. Le Mans 94 on the Venturi, and I did the first Le Mans Classic in 2002, and I don't think I ever came back. And to be on the big track, it's just pure addiction. I mean, it's dangerous, so it's so addictive, it's fantastic.
Stefan, what do we celebrate this year? This is the 20th anniversary of the GT3 class, and I should say it's a global success.
Oh yes, now GT3s are racing all over the world, and even where I never thought they would race, like Le Mans, like IMSA, and even the DTM that have their touring cars for GT3 cars. So yeah, it's really a global success.
Stéphane, on va parler un petit peu en français quand même aussi, si vous le permettez. Bravo déjà pour ce relais et bravo aussi pour le succès planétaire de la catégorie GT3.
Bah, tout ça, il y a un seul moteur dans ce que je fais depuis bientôt 35 ans, c'est la passion pour la course et la passion pour les GT. C'est tout ce qui m'a conduit et qui continuera à me conduire, j'espère, pour quelques décennies de plus.
Stéphane, another question, the final one. Everything for you began here, I should say, at the end of June 1992 with the first race, the opening round of the Venturi Gentleman Drivers Trophy. It's a great memory.
Absolutely. I mean, the Venturi Trophy that started my motorsport career was built here in Changé. So naturally, the first ever race we did was at Le Mans in 92. And it was after the most difficult edition of the 24 hours with, I think, only 27 cars at the start. And the people of SEO, I had, I think, more than 50 Venturis. And they looked at them and said, wow. Then I said, you want a big grid? Take us, take GT. So I'm happy somehow that I contributed to the return of GT at Le Mans. And in 93, I was there with 7 Venturis, 7. And so, yeah, it's been a long story, and I've been very close. We also launched in partnership the Le Mans Endurance Series. So, I mean, it's been a long story with SEO, and now we promote Asian Le Mans together and the GT3 revival via Peter Otto. So it's a long love story. It has not always been easy, but at the end, it's a love story.
On va le dire en français, en version synthétisée, mais je disais juste, une semaine après les pluvieuses 24 heures du Mans en 92, les 28 voitures au départ, cette ligne droite des stands remplie de Venturi Trophy, c'était vous. Votre histoire a commencé ici.
Tout à fait, a changé à côté d'ici, où la Venturi a été créée. La première course était ici, et ça, c'est vraiment ici que tout a commencé, et que on a vraiment contribué au retour des GT au Mans, et qui sont maintenant une partie intégrale, non seulement des 24 heures du Mans, mais aussi du championnat du monde d'endurance.
Mesdames et messieurs, Sir Stéphane Rattel, bravo.
Come back to what Stefan was talking about at the moment, because we've got the leader coming into the pits. This is the defining point of the race, with the first 2 cars pitting on alternate laps. The 007 Aston Martin is back out, with Jonathan Mitchell having jumped out, ran round the car, boiled himself an egg. No, he doesn't have to do that. He just had to unbuckle himself and get back in again. So Heiko Neumann now has to do that exact same thing. 4:11.3, his last lap. And what did the other car do? Right, he's in now, and a little bit of changing of the tyre pressures. Right, well, it was a 4:09 for Jonathan Mitchell into the pits last time, so let's keep an eye on that. He's now out on his next lap in the Scott Speed car, and Heiko's not actually crossed the line yet, so we can't quite work out who's got the better out and in lap as yet. But the Aston Martin already out of Arnage and heading down towards the Porsche curves. I learned something there, ladies and gentlemen, and we all looked at each other when Stefan was talking to Bruno there, because we for many years have stayed over in Changier. I did not know that's where the Venturi sports cars for the Cup were built.
Nor did I. The things you learn.
I need to find out now where that building is. I mean, we need to do something about that. The other thing that I think is funny is, first of all, how much Stefan was smiling having got out of the car. He was clearly having a ball. The second thing is, he said, I never thought you'd see them at the GT3s at Le Mans. He never wanted GT3s at Le Mans. He wanted them to be something different. He absolutely didn't want GT3s at Le Mans, and told the ACO so he wanted to call them GT3X or GTX or something else, and have the manufacturers build specific body kits to make them different from the standard GT3 cars. Right, here's the race, right here.
Here's the Aston.
Going to go through. I reckon the Aston's going through.
He's going through.
Of the outlap from Jonathan Mitchell. He does go through.
Just what Heiko Neumann didn't want to see. He might have sensed that could be the case, but that was a really, really good lap from Jonathan Mitchell there. Into the lead he goes. And now we'll see the roles reversed.
But also a better pit stop.
Yes, entirely so.
Saved to 3 or 4 seconds by getting it spot on.
2.6 seconds, the gap at the moment. Let's hope that they did get through. The pit window has now closed, and that's bad news for Jeff Eastringhausen, because he came in just after that happened, 10 seconds after the pits closed. Now, whilst the leaders sort themselves out and the AMG gets up to speed, let's go down to the pit lane and Jérôme Policon, who is with Bruno.
The 87 Ferrari with Jérôme Policon, now driven by Jean-Luc Boblic. Well, Jérôme, how was your stint?
The stint itself was okay, but I have a very poor spar, because both cars in front of me swapped their position. So the BMW didn't go on throttle, and I have to wait behind. And as a first runner, I was 7 or 8, and the time I overtook the other car, I was fourth, but impossible to catch the leading car. They were maybe 6 or 7 seconds behind. They were very quick. So I tried to close a bit the gap, which I managed in the last 2 laps, but still first in Pro-Am. So I hope Jean-Luc will stay in front.
It's good to see you back at Le Mans. I can feel frustration at the moment about you, but I imagine it's always pleasant to be back at Le Mans 3 weeks after the team manager that you are with Lexus and now driving this weekend a Ferrari.
Yeah, it was a Christmas gift from Jean-Luc Boblik because unfortunately Jim Plow was busy in GT Open at Hungaroring. And he asked me to share the car with him, which I did it with a big smile, and so it's always a sensation you have, especially at Indianapolis. So you can feel that you can push every lap, and you're still slow. So, but there is still a work to do, but. To be on pole position for, like I did 3 years ago with Rossi, that means I have a great history with this track.
Absolument. Allez, une synthèse en français avec vous, Jérôme. Bon, j'ai senti un petit peu de colère, pour ne pas dire de frustration, mais en même temps, on peut l'imaginer, du bonheur. Le team manager que vous étiez il y a 3 semaines, de retour, donc 3 semaines après, avec l'habit de lumière, la combinaison de pilote.
Oui, une petite frustration parce que au départ, les 2 voitures qui étaient devant nous ont inversé leur place. Et malheureusement, la BMW n'est pas partie au green. Et à la sortie du Dunlop, j'étais déjà 7 ou 8. Et le temps que je revienne 4, les premiers s'étaient envolés. Bon, ils allaient vraiment vite, mais ça aurait été plus sympa qu'on reste au contact et qu'on fasse une course à 4. Mais j'ai pris un énorme plaisir. C'était super. Il y a eu quasiment aucun full course yellow, aucune caution. So, on a pu rouler. Et, bon, il en manque encore un peu, mais je me suis un peu dérouillé. Surtout dans Indianapolis, tous les tours, j'en mettais un peu plus. Et voilà, si je reviens dans 10 ans, j'irai un peu plus vite.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, the king of the GT3 class, Jérôme Polican.
Whilst that was going on, we had one of the Lamborghinis giving it a spin. Was that Marcus Anderson?
Yeah, I believe it was.
I thought it was, yeah, just before the chicane. We've also had a little incident between 3 cars, including Ferrari number 556, which is the leader in the invitation class, Pierre-Alain France, also involved in that. Daniel Debreuer in the Santelot Racing Audi, and the 3rd car.
That was the Anne-Sophie Nouri car. Remember, that suddenly dropped about 10 positions, so I guess that could have been the victim in all that. What we're seeing on screen right now is the BMW making its moves all over the tail of Jean-Luc Boboli. This is the car that Jérôme Polican has just got out of, John. And you know what? You might have a driver in his late 50s who generally runs teams in the World Endurance Championship, but you could just tell Jérôme was so frustrated being held back. He wanted to go from 5th up to try and challenge the leaders. By the time he'd fallen back and come forward, they'd gone over the hill.
That was a separate incident, actually, because this was at Marshall's Post 11, which is the early part of the race, and it was Janos Santa in the Aston Martin. The GFS racing car was the 3rd car. And we've also got a pit stop under investigation, which I think is the car that I mentioned, wasn't it, the number 58?
Yeah,
which was a little bit late coming into the pit lane. Jonathan Mitchell by 3.6 seconds now, and then 15.5 back from Neumann to Ricci, an historic and race car Ferrari. Aston, Mercedes, Ferrari, BMW, Ferrari, Aston, Ford, Porsche, Ferrari for your top 10. Nice to see the Michelotto name back in the top 10 as well. So whilst this is carrying on, we'll keep an eye on the leaders. Head back down to the pit lane and Bruno.
Éric Debar, on peut vous le dire, on le trouve ici dans le fameux couloir de panotage, il a le sourire. Cher Éric, ça fait très plaisir de vous retrouver, et ça fait plaisir de vous retrouver avec ce que j'appellerais le badge Ford. Piloter une Ford GT40, enfin une Ford GT Matec, c'est comment?
Mais c'est énorme, piloter une Ford au Mans, ça fait 30 ans que je fais du sport auto, j'avais jamais fait le grand circuit. Mais je me dis, excusez-moi de l'expression, mais quel con, j'aurais dû venir plus tôt. Mais bon, c'est un plaisir de venir, on s'est marré, on se marre avec bien sûr une Ford. Puis l'ambiance est top ici. On retrouve tous les copains, Jérôme Polican, Jean-Luc Bordelic, la famille Ricci. C'est vraiment un plaisir de rouler ici et puis on roule encore, quoi.
Vous vous êtes fixé un objectif en termes de résultats ou est-ce que pour vous, terminer, c'est une forme de victoire?
Mais non, avant tout, je dirais, la première obligation, c'est de se faire plaisir. Et après, on sait très bien qu'avec le plaisir, on gagne des courses.
En tout cas, c'est une voiture géniale. Puis en plus, Ford revient aux 24 heures du Mans en plus.
En plus, c'est vrai, donc c'est la belle histoire. Merci.
Eh ben, génial. Voilà, Eric Debar. Eric said it's of course exciting to be here, and I should have come back here earlier to race on the Great Le Mans racetrack, but this car is absolutely fabulous. And I say to Eric, it's great to drive this car to the extent that Ford will be back at Le Mans next year. And he said, yes, it's absolutely magic. Eric Debar.
Alfred Moser for Seiler Racing, having a quick rotation for the Callaway Corvette Z06R, and again the Daytona chicane catching out one of our drivers, but he spun to the outside, out of the way. Leader is still continuing to lead, should I say, by 3 seconds, Jonathan Mitchell.
Yeah, he's just chipping away at him a bit, taking the odd 0.2, 0.3 of a second in the sector times. Neumann is over Mitchell, so the Finn pressing on hard now in that Mercedes. We could have a bit of a grandstand finish, I think, John. But, well, maybe Mitchell's got it in hand. I don't know.
I think he has, but I think the question that's going through my mind at the moment is how are their tyres? Having seen Tony Seiler go for a loop, because track temperature, well, it fleetingly went up to 52 degrees. It's sitting at 50 degrees now. So these tyres are going to be going, what are you doing to me? As they're being pushed deeper and deeper into the corners. And I think that's something both Jonathan Mitchell and Heiko Neumann will be very, very aware of. Peter Mulsdale, flashing his headlights, is going very nicely in 4th place overall in his BMW, but he's got a mountain to climb. We've got 10.5 minutes remaining. He's 17, 18 seconds down. He's jumped the second of the Storic and race cars. Now Jean-Luc Bobelic is at the wheel of that. And having seen them make the moves on the track, into a slow zone out of the final corner. Frustrating for the drivers, but it's there for a reason.
Yeah, and it's because the number 911 Porsche, the Christian Kuhne Speed Motorsport Management 997 GT3R, is in the gravel at the run-up towards Dunlop and the Goodyear Bridge. So this is going to take away an overtaking opportunity into the first braking area, effectively, which is the Dunlop chicane. As they come up the hill, the motorcycle pit lane over to their right, pit lane exit to their right.
The gap at the front, John's under 3 seconds now.
Yeah,
so
4:02.5 last time around. Heiko Neumann, that's his fastest lap of the race. And they're going to hit some traffic as well. By the way, one of the cars we've been following because of the interview with her dad, the Porsche, speeding in a slow zone for that car, the number 27, and that car will have to come through the pit. In fact, Anne-Sophie Nori has just done that, so she's back out and on the circuit. Important lesson. Now, the leaders are on the middle section, Bruce, of the Mulsanne Straight. 32 in the air. Again, we're up to 50 Celsius. The heat haze making the long shot look a bit like an impressionist painting as they're coming towards us.
Yeah, it does in many ways. I nipped out just ahead of this race, and I tell you one thing that's much better than yesterday. The humidity yesterday was about 60% for a while. Today it's 27%, so it's a far more comfortable environment for all of these drivers. But right now, Jonathan Mitchell's got 10 minutes or so to go. He's sitting on that buffer of 2.5, 3 seconds, but he is aware down the straights that Mercedes seems to have an advantage. Once he's got to Mulsanne corner, he then gains a bit of ground, so he should have enough in hand. However, we always have to look, what is the traffic situation up ahead? Because there's suddenly a 2-second lead could be taken away in the blink of an eye if someone in front does something untoward.
Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, we often see Jonathan racing in the Peter Auto Series in a Jaguar E-Type. He's quick in that, but they sometimes lose out a bit on power over the Cobras, but he's a winner in Peter Auto.
Something that I've been meaning to mention since yesterday, and it's only just come back to me right now looking at the front of that Aston Martin. We've been sitting here 2 days watching cars going around one of the fastest circuits they'll ever race on. And so the teams have made them as slippery as possible. And I've noticed quite a lot of cars with either plates or tape over some of the ducting around the front, over the top of the wheels, for brake temps, and also just to basically make the airflow over it. And I wonder if some of the issues that we've seen over the last couple of days have been because there hasn't been enough airflow. Now, this is not, in fairness, the over the front of the Aston, you can see it quite clearly. Underneath the headlights, the sponsor name is slightly obliterated because of the black tape that's on there. That's a brake duct more than anything else, and this is not a heavy braking circuit. But we noticed yesterday some of the prototypes had it over the grills, had it over even over the top of, partially over the top of some of the louvres on top of the wheel arches, just trying to make the car a bit slippery. But very noticeable on the front of that Aston Martin. And Sophie's had a spin on her outlap from the drive-through.
She's sitting there waiting, can't see any lights on that car at all. Right, we must ignore her now as another lap's going to go on the board. This will be 10 laps completed, and therefore probably 2 laps to go. This and 1 further lap. The gap between first and second got to under 2 seconds by a whisker. It's out to 2.6 seconds, but that's going to ebb and flow for sure.
Now, this started as a 50-minute race, 50-minute race. It could potentially go somewhere near 53, 54 minutes, depending on when they cross the line. This is looking at the moment like a 12-lap race, which is almost exactly going to be 100 miles.
Well, there's 6 minutes to go. It's going to take him probably 3 minutes to get, 3.5 minutes to get back to the pits.
Yeah.
And so it'll be definitely.
Yeah. So it's going to be.
He's got a lap and 3/4 left, basically.
Oh, another. It's the Spark Audi again on the other side of the road at Dunlop under the Goodyear Bridge.
Well done. Got it out of the gravel there. That could have led to a problem for the chasing Heiko Neumann by removing a possible overtaking place when they get onto the final lap. One little scrap I think is fantastic. It's the battle for Anzac honours. It's 10th and 11th place. Australian driver David Harrison in a Lion Speed Porsche being chased by Scott O'Donnell, the effusive Kiwi who comes up and does 2 or 3 months of racing in Europe. Used to be with Super Touring, but he's really latched onto GT3. So to get in the top 10 here at Le Mans will be fantastic. Unfortunately, that looks like it's Anne-Sophie Nuri's car still going rather slowly as it works its way back.
Yeah, those two battling in identical 997 GT3Rs. And just ahead, about 10 seconds up the road, 11 seconds up the road, is Lee Maxted Page in a similar car. And they are all in AM2, 6th, 7th, and 8th in that battle. Leaders now, as close as they have been for 2 or 3 laps. It's getting down to 2 seconds, Andrew.
Yeah, it certainly is. And just talking about the British drivers, notice that Will Nuttall is second in that Pro-Am 2 category. Will, we're used to seeing him doing really well in sort of 1959 Cooper Formula 1 cars. Won a lot of races in those. This is a very different machine indeed, but he's going well in the Ferrari 458, I should say.
007 then round the Mulsanne corner for the what we believe will be the penultimate time. Late pit stop for the BMW Z4 GT3. That's an unscheduled stop for Christoph van Oyenhausen. Third in the Pro-Am 2 category. So that is not part of the script. Now, will traffic play a part on this run to the checkered flag? That's the question. The leaders have got a decent gap ahead of them. There's a couple of cars and then a very, very long gap indeed. So if that Aston 007 of Jonathan Mitchell can clean up the car that he's catching at the moment, then he's got a decent run, I think, for the last lap.
Car just saw going out of the bottom. Well, let's take a look at the car in 6th place overall. Philippe Giochi took over from Eric Debar. We heard Eric being interviewed on the pit wall, but they are 6th and 7th. But then Jean-Luc Beaubelic has just fallen behind him. That was the car that was run by Jérôme Policon. That's lost to both those cars. The Aston Martin going out of the shot at the top. That's Dr. Afshin Fatemi. But Beaubelic in that Ferrari is the Pro-Am class leader. So all Am crews up ahead of him. He's in 7th, but he's got that margin that Andrew pointed out is about half a minute over Will Nuttall. Will be closing in, but I'm afraid the time has run out. Into the final 3 minutes we go.
Yeah, and the Ford GT is a class leader. That's the AM1 class leader. as well, the Maytech car. The top 5 are all in AM2 and therefore are in those positions. The only other class leader is in the invitational class, obviously, but that's a single.
Waved yellows, double waved yellows for white, and they're clean. There's debris on the circuit at the exit of Arnage. Can't see what dropped the debris. Was it the Spark Audi rejoining? That's keeping out of the way as the cars in 5th, 6th and 7th
yeah,
flash
you're
by.
right. I think it's got a right rear puncture, that Audi. Oh, no.
That was the okay, that's why the BMW came in to make its pit stop, the Van Oyenhausen car. And how many cars have been within the width of nothing at all between grazing the barriers on the exit of Arnage? And that was the smallest of grazes, but debris, and that can lead to problems to any single person that follows. Could it hit either of the first 2 cars in their lead back? 1.4 seconds now, the gap coming down between the Aston Martin in the lead of the race and the chasing Heiko Neumann.
Yeah, that's the remnants of a BMW left rear wheel arch that's left on the track now. Well, now we are on to the final lap. Under 8 miles to go now. And it's as close as it has been. 1.5 seconds between the top 2. And this is where the race will be won or lost. Green lights after the Daytona chicane.
Well, unfortunately, Christophe has just left the car. Marcus, apparently you've lost parts of bodywork on the car.
Yeah, it's okay. We have a lot of spare parts, so it's fine. And if we attack, I think we were the last one to start. I got up to 19, and he would have got in the top 10, I guess. It's nice to be the quickest Z4, and the car is lovely, and the whole environment, it couldn't be better.
But it's a shame to stop the race before the checkered flag, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, it happens. You know, when you go quick, when you battle in the front, it's a bit easier because there you're more or less on the same level. When you really come on from behind and try to get for the whole field, it's just difficult. But it's fun. Encore beaucoup de merci à tout le monde là.
Ben, merci à vous en tout cas aussi pour ce petit mot. Et effectivement, on peut le regarder à l'arrière de la voiture. L'objectif, ou plutôt la raison pour laquelle la voiture s'est arrêtée, c'est effectivement tous ces éléments de carrosserie perdus au niveau de la roue arrière gauche et des petits débris de ce genre.
Less than half a lap to go now in the second race of the weekend for the GT Revival, one of our additional support races here at the first running of Le Mans Classic Legend 2026. Grandstand finish coming spot on a second between Mitchell and Neumann, and it's Aston Martin versus Mercedes AMG, the SLS, coming quickly. 2 front-engine V12 cars battling it out down to Arnage for the final time. We know that there's some yellow flags waving there because of the debris. Needs to stay away from that and does. Had to slightly pinch the corner. That was a danger moment for Jonathan Mitchell there, Bruce.
He wouldn't have known it was there because that happened after he went past last time around, and I was just so worried about this group. But Heiko Neumann, again, loads of punch from that silver Mercedes. But surely this is the part of the track, the final third, the final quarter of the lap where the Aston Martin is so good through the sweeping bends. But Heiko Neumann, he races these cars all the time, the past 5 or 6 years, mainly International GT Open, but he's been getting better and better, but he's holding down. But I think Scott Sport now, again, the advantage has gone out because quite simply Jonathan Mitchell, magnificent through the sweepers in his Aston Martin. Has he done enough? Well, we're going to find out in the next 30 seconds.
Well, it's under a second now, and for a moment Neumann may have had the advantage, but through the twisties, a half a second gained back by the leading Aston Martin into the Ford chicane for the final time. Plenty of curb taken by the leader. Now he's got to be careful. Worn tyres, hot tarmac. Got to just apply the throttle steadily, and he did exactly that. The car never got out of shape. Second race of the weekend. Scott Sport winner. Jonathan Mitchell brings the Aston Martin V12 Vantage to the line. And the British Mark wins, holds off the 3-pointed star, and it will be the Italian Ferrari in 3rd position with Benjamin Ricci coming through for Storick and Race Cars.
You said Scott Sport wins. It was a team victory. They did it in the pits. They jumped him in the pits. They made a better pit stop by less than the guy won by.
Okay, Jonathan Mitchell buys the drinks in the Scott camp tonight, but yesterday's winner is today's third place, some 30-something seconds further back. We're still waiting for Benjamin Ritchie to come into sight. The cars we're seeing, there is Ritchie just crossing the line. Storic and Race Cars at the opening round of this series at Paul Ricard. Double victory for Storic and Race Cars. The tide is turning, the stage is shifting. Here comes Dr. Afshin Fasemi, or Spider-Man 2, according to the livery, but coming through to fourth place. Peter Mullsdale, really strong run for him in Barwell Motorsport. He'll come through to take that fourth place spot. And Barwell, you know, contemporary race team, end of last year, Mark Lemmer said, you know what, I really think I want to start shifting with GT3 into historic motorsport and bringing all their skill, top result. Here comes Afshin Fasemi to take fifth place for Brightech Motorsport with his Aston Martin. And then Philippe Gilles tucked in behind in that Ford. So let's go through the makes. Aston Martin, Mercedes, Ferrari, BMW, Aston Martin, Ford. 5 different makes in the top 6 positions.
And that Maytech wins the Pro Am 2 category. Further down the field, we're waiting for the winners in the other categories. Jean-Luc Burbelik's gone through, actually, for the Ferrari. That's the Pro Am 2 victory that his teammate was so hoping for. So those are the winners. They've all gone through now. Just waiting for the top 10. Lee Maxton Page should be next through. And in the Porsche, the best of the Porsches in that AM2 category. 1, 2, 3, 4 Porsche 997 GT3Rs, all in line astern with David Harrison from Lion Speed, Scott O'Donnell from Marketing South, and the Schumacher IMSA, Michel Eticati, all in the Porsches. Still waiting for Lee. Where is he? Is that him there? Yes, it is. Goes across the line. Immediately pulls over to the right-hand side. That's going to be tight between the next two. Scott O'Donnell goes through.
Yeah, that was the battle, Kiwi on Australian.
2/10 of a second at the end, by the way.
Yeah, no, who's chipping away, gaining about 1/3 of a second a lap. They'd have enjoyed that scrap. They'd have loved racing at Le Mans, and that's a message every single drive there out there will tell you today. It's something very special. I don't think drivers ever understand how special Le Mans is. It's got the reputation, but when they get out there on the circuit, and as Verius has said, when you're sitting on the Mulsanne straight with your car flat shut, then it's another level.
Just driving out of the pit lane, if you ever get the chance to do any laps, and we've seen car clubs here, supercar laps, driving out of the pit lane through that first chicane and under that famous bridge, and it actually doesn't matter what's written on it, just under that famous bridge. When I did it, it was still Dunlop. It'll be Goodyear that will be setting the history from now on. That's when you know you're at the Circuit de la Sarthe. You can't see anything behind it because you're coming up. It's a steep run up to it, and at that point, you know that you're doing something very, very special.
John, for me, a wonderful high-velocity weekend, which I think the NASCARs were my favourites, to be honest. We've both been in America a lot. It was almost like being back in the States, wasn't it? So all I can say to round out from me, you've got to come and book for next year.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Pierre-Alain France there in the 556 458 Italia GTD, not a diesel, by the way. That car coming home at 16th and wins the Invitational Class of 1. He says checking. Yes, it was.
It was 1.
Yeah. And a lap of honour for the 007, not coming straight back into the pit lane from the opposite end. Jonathan Mitchell gets to come round on the very last lap of the race. Heiko Neumann put in the fastest lap of the race, a 4 minutes 01.011, and Jonathan's best time, a 4 minutes 01.067. That's how closely matched they were, Bruce. So Andrew's comment there, the in-lap and the out-lap, as well as the pit stop from the Scott Sport guys, is what turned it round. Absolutely extraordinary stuff. GT3 revival, 20 years of the GT3 formula. It's a hit. So our second race of the weekend for GT Revival, Aston, Mercedes, Ferrari, BMW, Aston, Ford, Maytech with the Ferraris in 7th and 8th, and then Porsches making up the top 10. Congratulations to Scott Sport and Jonathan Mitchell, but you've got to say thank you to Heike Neumann and the Team Motor Park team. What a race that was. 1.3 seconds. Decided on the in, the out, and the pit stop. And when you've got a timed pit stop, as Andrew Marriott rightly pointed out, it is absolutely imperative to get through that as close to the time as possible. The Storican race cars, Ferrari won Pro-Am at 2 category. And in AM1, it was the Barwell Aston Martin, the number 6 car down in 19th place, that takes the top step of the podium. I think it's fair to say that everybody, well, nearly everybody, had a great day. There was some learning going on, yes, but anytime you get to drive a out-and-out race car on the 8.5 miles, 13.6 kilometres of the Le Mans 24 hours, you know you're having a good day. Brilliant stuff from everybody. My thanks to Andrew and Bruce alongside me in the booth, to Solen and the rest of the Peter Auto team, and of course our technical team who have worked so hard in very, very hot conditions. To Mel and the rest of the Stop and Go team, it's been an absolute pleasure. Book your trip now for next year when we'll have Le Mans Classic. It will be Classic Heritage, tracing the history of Le Mans from the first race in 2023. Same weekend, first weekend of July, but join us for the Le Mans Classic Legend Series for the rest of the season. See you then.